All right, let's get right into it. For so many years, Jeffrey Epstein's private island was this black hole of rumor and secrecy. But now, with the final court documents finally unsealed, the secrets are pouring out. And honestly, the story they tell is far more disturbing than any of us could have imagined.
You know, this one question, which came up during the investigation, really gets to the absolute core of it all. This wasn't just a place, it wasn't just a remote island, it was, for all intents and purposes, a cage. The island itself was an instrument of control, and it was designed for a single, chilling purpose.
And here's what you've got to understand. The massive document dumps we saw from 2024 all the way through early 2026, they've completely changed how we see this case. We can finally move beyond just a simple list of names and actually look at the architecture of the entire criminal enterprise. So let's kick things off with the biggest revelations from these files. Because what they show isn't just one man's crimes. No, it's a sophisticated system that was built to enable him, to protect him, and to keep it all going.
And this is bombshell number 1. A Department of Justice memo, which had been hidden away for years, was suddenly made public. And what it proves is pretty staggering. Federal prosecutors were actively building a much wider conspiracy case, long after Epstein himself was dead.
And inside that memo was this crucial number, 10. That's how many potential co-conspirators prosecutors had lined up for criminal charges. And we're not just talking about enablers here. We're talking about recruiters, financiers, the gatekeepers. This one number confirms what so many people suspected all along. This was never a solo act. It was a network.
So, how in the world did this network actually operate? Well, that question takes us from the legal documents to the physical heart of it all. Because the island, Little St. James, it wasn't just a home. It was a tool meticulously designed to be a prison disguised as paradise.
And this really captures the two faces of the island, doesn't it? On the one hand, publicly, it was sold as this tropical getaway for the rich and powerful. But behind that facade, the court documents and victim testimonies, they paint a totally different, chilling reality. A highly controlled environment, a base of operations for sexual exploitation. So how did this system of control really work on the ground? Well, it was a disturbingly methodical process. Step 1, lure victims, often with these fake promises of legitimate jobs or modeling careers. Step 2, the transport. They were whisked away on Epstein's private jet, which was infamously nicknamed the Lolita Express. Step 3, silence. Enforced with ironclad non-disclosure agreements for all staff, creating this total vacuum of accountability. And the final step? Total, absolute isolation. Once you were on that island, you were cut off, with no way to leave and absolutely no one to turn to.
The story gets even weirder, though, when you actually see what was inside the compound. In late 2025, the House Oversight Committee released a whole trove of photos, giving us all this chilling, first-ever visual tour of Epstein's bizarre world.
And maybe one of the most bizarre details to come out of those photos was the so-called dentist chair room. I mean, inside, investigators found a fully equipped dentist chair surrounded by all this strange artwork and, according to reports, masks of men's faces just hanging on the walls. It's a deeply unsettling scene that just raises way more questions than it answers.
And then there was this. Another photo, this one taken in Epstein's study, showed a blackboard. And on that blackboard, only 2 words were written: power and deception. You know, it's hard to imagine a more direct or chilling mission statement for the entire operation.
Of course, one of the biggest questions from the very beginning has always been about the high-profile people connected to Epstein. The Unsealed Files, they do give us more clarity, but it is absolutely vital that we distinguish between the different types of connections.
Okay, so let's break down what these documents actually say, because the details here really matter. For Prince Andrew, the files contain direct accusations of abuse on the island by Virginia Giuffre. For someone like Bill Clinton, the flight logs confirm he was on Epstein's jets, but it's important to point out that these specific files have no evidence of criminal wrongdoing. And then you have figures like Elon Musk, where emails show Epstein tried to get him to visit, though Musk has been clear he never went. So you see, the difference between an accusation, a confirmed presence, and just a mere mention is absolutely critical to understanding all of this.
And all of this leads us to one of the most persistent theories that has swirled around this island, that its real purpose wasn't just abuse, but was actually blackmail on a global scale.
Now, this theory isn't just wild speculation. It is fueled by actual evidence. FBI raids and court documents confirm the island was outfitted with an incredibly extensive, high-tech camera system. And sources have said that these cameras covered nearly every single area, including, disturbingly, the restrooms. This was not just security, it was total, all-encompassing surveillance.
So this is the central question that just hangs over this whole investigation. With that level of surveillance, was the ultimate goal to create compromising material on some of the most powerful people in the world? The files certainly raise the question, but the full answer, well, that might stay classified forever.
So where does that leave us today? Epstein is gone, but the island is still there. Let's take a look at the strange and really complicated legacy of this place.
Yeah, the island story did not end with Epstein's death. In 2022, his estate reached this massive settlement with the U.S. Virgin Islands. A year later, in 2023, both of his islands were sold to a developer, Stephen Deckoff, who had these big, ambitious plans for a luxury resort. But now, as of early 2026, a strange silence has just fallen over the island. Construction is completely stalled.
See, before any five-star resort can be built, the island is undergoing what's officially called remediation, and that is a very clinical, sterile term for a massive cleanup, both literally and forensically, to remove every single last trace of Epstein's bizarre belongings and those surveillance systems.
But this next detail just shows you the real problem. You can't just erase a stigma this dark. In a truly surreal twist, a virtual landmark for the popular game Pokémon Go just appeared on the island. It triggered this wave of what you can only call dark tourism in the digital world, and it forced the game's developer to scramble and remove it. The island's infamy, it seems, is inescapable.
Which brings us to our final thought. You can tear down the buildings, you can sanitize the grounds, you can change the name. But can the history of a place that was so defined by systemic evil ever really be scrubbed clean? The final files might be unsealed, but the full story? That's something that will probably haunt us for years to come.